May 26, 2015, regular city commission meeting for the city of Coffeyville, Kansas. Tonight's invocation will be conducted by Mary Wilson. Mary, would you step forward and please lead us in prayer? After the prayer, please remain standing for the pledge of allegiance to the American flag.
Father, we thank you for this day. It's been a beautiful day and we've enjoyed it. We enjoy the rain, but sometimes it seems a little much and you hear us grumbling. Forgive us for being such grumblers. We thank you for these people that will step forward to lead our city. Help us each to realize that we have a responsibility to help them. We are their additional eyes to see what needs to be fixed in this community and let them know. We thank you for the big celebration we have had to honor our service people, wherever they may be. Some are buried in Arlington, as Dr. Wilson is. Some are buried elsewhere, and some are still on active duty serving our country. We thank you for this country in which we can express our thoughts without fear that we're going to be killed because of it. And we ask you to be with this meeting, give the leaders wisdom that they make the right decisions, and bless this community. We ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mary, for leading us in that fine prayer. Thank you. We'll begin tonight with the consent agenda items. First item is the regular city commission meeting minutes for Tuesday, May 12, 2015, and the 2015 appropriation ordinance number AO-15-09 in the amount of $5,708,389.57. I make the motion that we approve the minutes and pass the appropriation ordinance. Does anyone have any questions?
Second.
And you're just doing the one appropriation?
That is correct.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Martin to approve the minutes of Tuesday, May the 12th, 2015, and 2015 appropriation ordinance number AO-15-09. Commissioner Kessler.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is appropriation ordinance AO-15-09A in the amount of $1,897.75. I make the motion that we approve this appropriation ordinance in the above listed amount.
I second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve appropriation ordinance number AO-15-09A. Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye. Aye.
Is that the one you want to abstain?
Yes. Oh, I did? Okay.
And the
Sorry,
reason is
sorry.
that one was specific to Taylor Crane, so we had accounts payable pull it out, and that's why there's a separate one.
Okay. I guess I'm behind on. We didn't talk about that last night, did we?
Just abstain.
Okay, I abstain. Forgot about it, sorry.
Commissioner Kessler.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye. And before we move forward, just because there's a little confusion, the appropriation ordinance AO-15-09A in the amount of $1,897.75 was a appropriation, or basically a fancy word for saying we wrote a check to Taylor Crane and Rigging
okay.
for work that particular company did for the city.
Correct.
Correct? Okay.
Okay.
So moving on, public hearings and special presentations. We have a public hearing this evening in reference to a community development block grant application. Public Works Director Chuck Shively will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, as we discussed at the last City Commission meeting, the city was awarded a 2015 CDBG grant earlier this year to reconstruct 9th Street from Camden Street to Hall Street. That project is currently in the design phase. Then recently, the Department of Commerce announced that they had funds available and were offering a special round 2015 CDBG grant. The special round grant will fund 90% of the cost of a project up to $350,000 of CDBG funds. The special round application is due by June 1st, which was a very short time frame for everything that's required for a CDBG grant application. One of the requirements is that at least 51% of the beneficiaries of the grant have to be low to moderate income or LMI category. That requires a door-to-door survey to determine the LMI status of the beneficiaries. But since the 9th Street project had already met the LMI requirement by a door-to-door survey, any application for construction in the same project area could use that previous survey. So staff proposes that we submit a CDBG grant application to replace the sidewalks in the same project area as the current street grant project. Most of the sidewalks in the area are in terrible condition or non-existent. The current street grant project will replace the street surface and construct handicap sidewalk ramps at each intersection and repair as much curb and gutter as we can within the project budget. This proposed sidewalk project will replace the sidewalks in every block on both sides of the street, tying into the handicap sidewalk ramps from the street project, and replace the driveways between the sidewalk and the street, including the attached curb and gutter for a distance in each direction. The preliminary plan is that for all curb and gutter in need of replacement to be replaced by the two grant projects combined, as well as new sidewalks, driveway entrances, and street surface. There are several requirements for submittal of an application for a CDBG grant. First, we have to hold a public hearing to solicit input from the public regarding the proposed application. Then the Commission has to authorize the application submittal and all related resolutions and documents. So if the Commission is in agreement with application submittal, I recommend that you hold the required public hearing, then approve a resolution certifying the city has the legal authority to submit the application and dedicating the city's matching funds, and authorizing the mayor to sign and submit the application and all required documents. Approve a resolution assuring the Department of Commerce that funds will be provided to operate and maintain the project, and approve a resolution authorizing an agreement for administrative consulting services with the Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, and then if you want to open up the public hearing.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Mr. Shively? Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing to the public, and the public hearing is now open. Anyone or members of the public that wish to speak on this particular topic, please step forward. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Moving on, resolution number R-15-1, resolution number R-15-61, a resolution to certify the city of Coffeyville has legal authority to apply for the 2015 Kansas Small Cities Community Development Block Grant. Public Works Director Chuck Shively will make comments.
Did they approve all the resolutions?
No, they just had the public hearing.
Okay.
So they would need to do that. And as Chuck indicated, you should approve all three of those resolutions with one motion.
You already made your comment.
I've already made my
Okay,
comments on this.
so you have nothing further to
I have
add?
nothing further, yeah.
Okay, so in the, let me just read these so everybody has a clear understanding of what we're passing. We're gonna wrap this up into one motion. Resolution number R-15-61, a resolution to certify the City of Coffeyville has legal authority to apply for the 2015 Kansas Small Cities Community Development Block Grant. Second ordinance, resolution number R-15-62, a resolution to assure funds will be provided for the operation and maintenance of improvements to sidewalk system financed with CDBG funds. And the third resolution is number R-15-63, a resolution to execute an agreement with the Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission for administrative services for the 2015 Kansas Small Cities Community Development Block Grant. All three of these items, I move that we approve resolution number 15-61, 15-62, and 15-63, beginning in R on all three of the resolutions.
Second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Castler to approve resolutions number R-15-61, R-15-62, and R-15-63 for adoption. Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye. Comments from the public. Anybody wishing to speak or address the commission in reference to topics that are not covered on this evening's commission agenda, you can please step forward, state your name and address, and you can address the commission as you desire to a certain extent. No comments from the public. This going once or going twice. Moving on, old business. We don't have any old business, so we're moving on to new business. Resolution number R-15-64, a resolution to execute a work authorization with Trans Systems for water main replacement project. Public Works Director Chuck Shively will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, in the project area for those CDBG grants, there's an 8-inch water main located under the 9th Street pavement. That main is very old and has had numerous leaks over recent years, so staff believes it should be replaced and relocated to the street right-of-way between the curb and the sidewalk before the street surface is replaced by the grant project. City Water Department crews have been working whenever possible to replace the main for the past few years. They've completed the main replacement from the east end of the project area to Harding Street. What remains to be replaced is the main from Harding Street to Hall Street. With cuts in the staffing of that department in recent years, it's been difficult to keep a construction crew working steadily on line replacement. Also, the crew will be kept busy replacing water lines under several of the 2015 intersection improvement projects this summer. So we're proposing to bid out the remaining main replacement on 9th Street to be performed by a contractor so that it won't hold up the street project. Bidding the work will require preparation of bidding documents, including KDHE approved plans and specifications. All three projects, streets, sidewalks, and water line, will require extensive surveying, so it makes good sense to combine the three surveys into one contract. Since the water line replacement has to occur first, I requested a proposal from Trans Systems, who is our engineer on the two CDBG projects, for design and construction engineering, including periodic inspections for the water line project, and to include the necessary survey for all three projects. We have an on-call engineering services agreement with Trans Systems for services as requested by the city. So attached for your consideration is a proposed work order or work authorization to Trans Systems under that agreement. The work authorization lists a maximum fee for design and for inspection. The proposed design maximum fee includes the survey for all three projects. Actual payments would be made based on actual hours worked on the projects times the approved hourly rates, not to exceed that maximum fee for each phase. So I recommend that you approve a resolution authorizing execution of the work authorization for engineering services with Trans Systems for the 9th Street Water Main Replacement Project. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Commissioners, does anyone have any questions?
Is it appropriate to ask? Chuck, I got a question for you about
Okay.
our water lines, not really related to this project, but just for knowledge, general knowledge for our citizens. You made the comment that this water line was in bad shape. What percentage of the rest of our water lines in this city are in the same shape? How would you describe that?
I hate to give a percentage off the top of my head, but there's a large percentage of water lines that are, well over 30, 40, 50 years old.
Have we replaced any lately in the last?
We have. We try to do projects every year in-house, and we've done a few bid projects in recent years. We try to budget in our water department capital improvement funds to do projects. The cuts we've had in staffing has made it more difficult to do the in-house ones. That has slowed down a little bit in the last few years.
Is there any way we can try to predict that in a very economical way, or take a wild guess at it? How would we do that?
Which lines will need to be replaced, you mean?
The water line, most of the water lines run down the middle of the streets.
Most of the older water lines do run under the pavement, yes.
What is the
Which causes a lot of the problems we have. A lot of the potholes you see in the streets are where we've had water line blowouts, and then we've had to go in and cut it out and dig it up and replace or repair the line.
Okay.
and this is probably an unfair question, but just for general knowledge, I don't know how you could predict this, but to some level of estimation, what is the typical lifespan of a water line?
Yeah, Sean, do you know what they say, the PVC or the poly pipe?
Yeah, there's a big difference with what used to be the standard
Yeah.
with what the standard is today. The old cast iron mains, if they make it 50 years, they're doing well. But a PVC main, who knows, that could be 80, 90 years.
Okay.
So according to him, most of our lines are doing well.
Yeah.
Because they're over 50 years
We're
old.
fortunate then.
Save
Yeah.
a bunch of money.
They're over 50 years
We're
old, so.
fortunate.
But the newer materials are expected to last a lot longer.
Does that have a lot to do with the climate that we have here, that they may or may not last longer than they would if they were in a more?
You're talking about the older lines, the
Yes.
cast iron?
Yes.
I mean, soil conditions have a lot to do with it. How acidic the soil is and things like that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any further questions, commissioners?
Nope.
Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I move that we approve resolution number R-15-64.
Second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve resolution number R-15-64 for adoption. Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Taylor.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Moving forward, resolution number R-15-65, a resolution to award a construction contract to Jeff Graham Construction for the 2015 intersection and drainage improvement project. Engineering tech Thomas Osborne will make comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Over the past several years, the city has taken a more focused approach to improve our city's overall streets and maintenance programs. Part of this program is we've been going into low-lying intersections where they're holding a lot of water from whether it's overlay projects from previous years past. That's just kind of damming up the water in the intersections. It's literally eroding our intersections out. Basically, this program, we go in and we replace either the drainage swell so that the water can go ahead and move out of the intersection, or the full intersection, depending on just how bad the intersection is. This year, we actually have 7 different intersections that we had designed and bid out. On May 14th, we had our bid opening. Jeff Graham Construction, those intersections are 4th and Ohio, 10th and Reed, and 5th and Union. We're looking at full intersections. And then 7th and Lee, 12th and Buckeye, 12th and Maple, both swells on 12th and Maple. It's an offset intersection, so that's why there's 2 swells instead of a whole intersection. And then 12th and Elm. On May 14th, we opened bids for these intersections with Jeff Graham Construction being the low bidder. And basically what staff recommends approval of all 7 intersections to be constructed this summer.
How many bids you get back?
We had 4 bids back.
Can, for educational purposes, I know that we didn't all come here probably get an education, but just for my own personal education, explain to me what a drainage swell is.
A drainage swell, probably the easiest way to explain it is as you're coming to an intersection, if you're going to cross a drainage swell, you kind of have it goes down and kind of bounces up as you're driving. That's right there, that low spot's the drainage swell. It allows water to move across the intersection and continue on to the rest of the stormwater system.
Okay. Commissioners, any additional questions?
Nope.
Comments, public? Seeing none. Anybody? Seeing none, I move that we approve resolution number 15-65.
Second.
And is that for all 4, or all 3 full intersections and all 4 drainage swells? That would be the total project?
That's the total.
That's the
project.
total project.
Okay, it would be $425,244.70. Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Martin to approve resolution number R-15-65 for adoption. Commissioner Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Castler?
Aye.
Commissioner Martin?
Aye.
Commissioner Powell?
Aye.
And Cindy, I believe that actually it was only the $330.
That was the total?
That's the total, yes.
Okay, we would have had to subtract.
Right.
Okay.
Moving forward, resolution number R-15-66, a resolution to execute an agreement with Algor Martin and Associates for construction and inspection for the 2015 intersection and drainage improvement projects. Engineering tech Thomas Osborne will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioners, this would be to authorize Algar Martin, who also did all the designs for us, who we also have an in-house agreement with for on-call services. Basically, this would be a work authorization on that on-call services agreement that we have to perform the inspections on all the concrete, make sure that the drainage is put in properly, because a lot of these intersections are extremely flat. And so we like to have the same engineers do the inspections as the design. It just makes things work a lot easier.
Commissioners, anyone have any questions or comments?
We've been working with that Algier Martin for a long time, haven't we?
Yes.
No, never had any problems that I'd heard of.
Nothing I know of.
Just wondered. Thank you.
comments, public? Seeing none, move that we approve resolution number R-15-66.
A second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve resolution number R-15-66 for adoption. Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Moving forward, resolution number R-15-67, a resolution to issue a purchase order to ISP Supplies for purchase of wireless equipment. IT Manager Chris Felix will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. The agenda item before you tonight is for our rural wireless piece of our internet service. At both the stadium and at Southern Hills, we have some aging equipment. The equipment we're talking about tonight is nearing 10 years old, or if not, just a little bit older than 10 years old. It operates in the 900 megahertz frequency. That's great for us in the wireless world. It goes far, and it goes through trees for the most part. Over the last couple of years, we've had some issues with it, not particularly the system, but the way the trees have grown up, and the signals have been impeding, and we've had requests for more bandwidth, and this particular product that we have currently doesn't let us do that. So tonight, before you, what I'm recommending is that we look at some LTE equipment, similar to what you hear LTE for your cell phones, similar thing. This allows us to put up some current equipment that is also software upgradable. So if, in the next couple of years, a new software patch comes out, we can double the bandwidth of this particular product, which is nice for us because it gives us the ability to grow without having to replace hardware. In the packet that I provided, there is a heat map. Basically, it's a wireless prediction map of what this particular product should cover. We chose the stadium for a couple of reasons. One, we don't have to pay a tower climber to come out and do that. Myself and the technician get up there on a ladder and get up here and aim this thing that we need to. The proposals that are before you, one was from PCS Technologies out of Minnesota, I believe, and the other's from ISP Supplies in Texas. The company, the PCS, wouldn't let us do a money-back guarantee type thing. The ISP Supplies company will. So during the trial period, all we have to do is pay for the equipment. We don't have to pay for licensing or any of that. And if we end up liking it, if it ends up working for us, then we'll have to pay for the licensing, which is around $7,000. I also included that $7,000 total in the grand total that you would all be approving tonight. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to try and answer those.
Commissioners, any questions?
Well, I don't know too much about this technology, Chris. I guess you think it's the thing to do.
At this point, I think this is our best option. From the people I've talked to, from the trade organization that we belong to as an internet service provider, this is the best thing that they've seen come out in the last couple of years. An internet service provider that those of us that are on this, that are part of this trade organization, talk to a lot. Whisper ISP, they're out of St. Louis. They just signed a contract for $2.1 million with this product. So, I mean, that, to me, that's that. In my mind, that these people know what they're doing.
This is to. Did you have anything further?
No, it didn't. No.
This is to basically service customers that lie outside the corporate city limits of,
Yes, sir.
of Coffeyville. So that is a market that's kind of untapped, more or less, isn't it? Because if you live outside of...
I would say a couple of years ago, that would have been an accurate statement. But over since 2012, with satellite internet and some of the other competitors around trying some different things, it's not really untapped. It's just...
But if we don't keep up with those, it just stands to reason if we don't keep up with those type of technologies and provide a better, faster, more convenient service, it's not rocket science. You just go to another company and buy their service instead of
Exactly.
ours.
Exactly. One of the things that sets us apart from, say, satellite internet, we don't have any data caps. So, out in the rural area, if you have satellite internet, if you have cell phone internet, they charge you a specific data cap per month. We don't have that. So it's a good selling point for us.
Do we have estimates on, you mentioned losing customers if you don't have
Mhm.
adequate signal. Do we have any figures on what those customers in this area, what kind of revenue they're generating to balance this $18,000 expenditure against?
So currently we charge $40 for our customers that are on this particular, that are on the old gear. So far, the customers we've talked to, they're willing to jump to the $60 package, the $80 package. So they're the ones wanting this. They're the ones craving the speed. So with the math, based on 50 customers, if we move 50 customers over to this, it pays for itself in just over a year.
So we were talking about a return on investment.
And that's with current customers?
Yes,
right?
that does not include adding any
Are
new
there-
customers.
Are there any marketing efforts to expand customer bases in those regions at
That's gonna
all?
be
or
my next
do
question.
We haven't talked about that, but with the utility bills and everything else, I mean, we have that asset for us.
So this increases bandwidth speed or just signal strength?
Both.
Both.
The current
So
stuff
what?
we have has an aggregate of about 4 megabit. This, with the current technology, has an aggregate of about 200. So per sector.
Per sector?
Mhm.
Nice. That's all I got.
Who's the stadium for? Just, is it going to be for everybody, or is it going to be just for the college workers who need it? It'd be a hotspot type of deal where everybody can use it, or?
This has nothing to do with serving the stadium itself. It's all of the customers in and around the
This
stadium.
is line of sight.
This particular product is not.
It's not.
This is
Currently,
for
it's
non-line of sight. Yeah, we have line of sight equipment up there, and we have, I don't know, roughly 60, 70 customers
And
on
that's
that
like
product.
radio signal.
Yeah.
Line of sight
Mhm.
currently, and this is actually
Yeah.
broadband. Like,
This would be
Gigahertz.
WiMAX
Yeah.
type stuff. So
okay.
What is I know we're hitting you with a bunch of stuff
Sure.
but the range of our internet service, what is the typical, are we talking 3 miles outside city limits, or can we go further than that?
in the past, we have had customers out on 75, out by Caney. Hadn't worked out very good for us. It was one of those that was installed prior to than us having standards. But I would say between a 5 to 7 mile radius.
Okay.
And does this have just one more question? Is the bandwidth that powers this separate from the pool of bandwidth for in the city? Does it have its own dedicated,
No.
or is it all pulled from this?
It's all the same, but each tower kind of has its own quality of service measures, so we can dedicate specific bandwidth to that.
And you have enough if you were to have smashing success with people coming online?
We should. We've got a 500 meg pipe, and a typical oversubscription rate is 15 to 1, so 15 customers per 1 meg.
Right.
So we should be okay.
That's all I got.
Glad they understand all that.
Any further questions, commissioners?
Nope.
Comments from the public? Seeing none, I move that we approve resolution number R-15-67.
Second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Castler to approve resolution number R-15-67 for adoption. Commissioner Powell,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Commissioner Castler,
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye. That concludes our resolutions for this evening. Move on to some discussion items. First item up for discussion is the Parks Board that we mentioned a few weeks back. And I think that,
Paul was going to have something drawn up, right?
It's right here. Yeah. Basically, what we're doing is approving what he's wrote.
Yeah.
I think that
Ordinance.
it was in our packet, but I think in all fairness, to be able to ask questions,
He needs to-
I think that we should continue this discussion to when our legal counsel is available to ask or answer our questions.
I'm fine with that.
Does anyone have any issue with continuing this discussion at the next meeting to where we can have access to our legal counsel?
I have no problem.
Sounds good to me.
Fine by me.
Okay, that's been agreed. We'll postpone the discussion. Next item is city manager report. James Grimmett.
Mayor and Commissioners, we had talked about, we used to do an orientation for commissioners, and that would entail would be, we would do a driving tour, kind of like we did with the city manager candidate, and visit, actually, but spend more time in each department, and to get to know the department head and what kind of equipment and the process that they have. So we want to start that back up again. If you're all are willing to do that. What we put together, what Cindy's put together, would take maybe about a day and a half. Cindy, is that right?
That's correct.
So would you all be willing to do that the week of June the 15th? We've got it scheduled to start at 8 in the morning and finish that day and then start the next morning. If you would rather do it in 3 afternoons,
Are we all packing around together? Is that what we're doing?
is that the plan?
Yes. Because part of it would be just driving, the other, and then we would have stops at the various facilities.
June 15th, that's a Monday, correct?
Just that
Well,
week.
that week.
Oh, that week.
That week, so you guys can pick a day, or 3 days, if you wanna do it all in the afternoon.
I mean, I'm,
No better than any other week.
that week's fine. I
I
think
can't
that
in the
we can,
mornings. I'm
we
I'm
can,
fine not doing it.
do we have to have a solid day and tonight?
Why don't I get with you
Yeah.
tomorrow?
I need to review.
We-
I mean,
we
the
can
thing
discuss
is
that.
we have
You
to-
can
we
check your
have to-
calendars.
Have to check our calendars and check with our ball game schedules and things of that nature, so we
Employers.
can kinda, lawyers and things like that, see if we can be available.
Lawyers.
So,
So we'll get that scheduled, to get with you all,
Right.
so at least we'll get that started back up again.
okay, I think that's a wonderful idea.
And the next thing I had was budget work session, planning for 2016, and also we'll have some amendments for 2015. And Stephanie has that tentatively scheduled for between July the 6th to July the 17th, depending on how long it takes. And we can do that. Right now, it's scheduled to start at 1 in the afternoon, and we go till about 5, and we can do it consecutive days until we have a budget that we all agree on.
And that has to be published by what date? August 1st. So we gotta have we have to have something hammered out prior to August 1st and have it in the paper. Okay.
And this is the way we've done it in the past, the last couple of years. I think that changed, and
What did we
this
do?
process works to where you have a chance to ask any question, and if we don't know the answer that day, we can have it for you the following day.
What did you do the last couple of years? Did it change?
Last year it
Schedule
was
way ahead of time.
last year it was like I can't remember if it was a 1 or 2 day.
Is it one day?
It was not
Catch all.
very conducive
No.
to I don't care what anybody, I didn't like it,
I didn't.
and I don't think that it
Well-
was,
Well, this is where you plan for the following year, so.
we need to have more time.
Right.
And we need to be able to ask questions, and we need to be able to keep these numbers around,
Not be rushed.
and not feel like it's you gotta have it done today.
Well, and probably a day to focus on the obvious things that have to be part of the budget, and then if there's like overreaching ideas on things you want to accomplish or try to, set aside time for that too.
So,
Just have
that-
to make arrangements.
Okay, we'll do that.
I think that we start with a tentative, like you said, July 2nd, and we work or July 6th, yeah, and work do it, we have to arrange it to meet whatever schedules, we can do that as long as we publish that to the paper with, what, 3-day notice or whatever?
2 hours.
2-hour notice?
2 hours.
It'll work for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
The only other thing is I know people have been concerned about the river, the level of it. It actually crested Sunday at 16.1, and today at 3:30, it had receded to 14.4, and it's expected to continue receding. So even though it looked like it's rising, Mr. Westerveld, it's actually receding.
That means the fishing's over now too.
Yes. That's all I have.
Thank you. Comments from commissioners and staff?
I got one.
Let staff go first. And any comments or from
Mayor,
us?
I do have, go ahead, Gene.
Hello, Gene.
Mayor and Commissioners, tomorrow morning, the Electric Department will be receiving a reliability award for 2014, and be presented by MISO, which is the Municipal Electric Systems of Oklahoma. There are about 80 municipals in this organization, most of them in Oklahoma, some in Arkansas and Missouri. The reward we're getting is for a reliability index of 99.998%, which means if you average all the outages and the total customer minutes, the power was flowing all but 9.4 minutes last year in 2014. And how we do this is, the first year we did it was in 2010, and there's a national standard on how you do this. Is a computer program that you put all this information in. When an operator gets an outage call, he records the time, he receives it. He records the time that the power is restored. Then after that's over, he looks at the number of customers that were out, and takes the number of customers and the number of minutes they were out, and that's all put into the computer program. We also look at about 10 categories of what causes the outages, and last year there were 3 that were stand out for about 80% of our outages. The highest one, believe it or not, was birds, animals, and snakes, mostly squirrels. And the second was overhead equipment failure, and then weather was the third highest. And in 2014, the weather was kind to us. We had about half the outages due to weather than we did in 2013. The other thing is that's significant is trees. We're only 7% of the total, and which lets us know that the tree trimming program we're doing is working. Also, the maintenance we do in our substations, we had, I think, one issue that was a substation failure, a relay failure. We do maintenance on each of these every year. And and we got this award in 2010, 12, 13, and 14. 2011, we did not, because at that time, AEP had one of our transmission lines out for upgrades, and they got a failure on the second one. And I probably remember that. It was a day in June, and we were in the dark for 3 hours. Mm-hmm. We didn't even apply that year. But anyway, to give you an idea what 9.4 minutes means, it's hard to find the information on other than municipals. Like Westar, investor owns, they don't really share that information. I think that's changing this year. I think that's going to be in some of our government reports now as a reliability indexes. But anyhow, I did find in February this year there was a testimony at the Kansas Corporation Commission by a consultant of Westar, and they were trying to improve their reliability, and they were going to the Corporation Commission for like $232 million over 5 years to improve this. And their target goal in 5 years is to bring that number down to 116.4 minutes. So I don't know what it is now. It's got to be something much larger than that. So anyhow, if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them.
Where will that award be presented, Gene?
It'll be in the morning. We'll probably, Cindy's going to take a picture. We'll probably do it in front of our power plant substation. if it's not raining.
We'll get a press release.
But yeah, and Cindy will be issuing a press release tomorrow sometime.
That's an outstanding achievement that you guys over at and gals over at the electric department work very hard for the citizens, and we appreciate that you guys do so diligently. And I mean, 9.4 minutes. That's something
bad.
pretty proud to be.
Yeah, it is.
You know.
I mean, it's,
That-
there's
that's
some people that were
outstanding.
out for a little while, some people were never out, so.
So that's an outstanding achievement. I hope that the next commission meeting, I'm sure they'll award you some type of I'm sure they don't give you a gift certificate or something. They'll give you
No, I don't
a
know.
plaque or
It's-
something like
it's-
that.
It's all the guys in the department that do all this.
Right,
I just happen to
but
be-
they'll give you some type of token that like a trophy or whatever. I'd appreciate it if you brought that with you the next time.
Yeah, we can do that.
That we can show our citizens and all of
Okay.
us folks can see it.
Will any of us be able to attend? I'll be out of town. Will any of us?
I'll be. What we'll do is if
You do anything?
you guys can do the.
Let me know. Text me or something.
Or Marcus, any of you guys may make it
Depends on
over
what
there
time it is.
for the award presentation? One of us ought to be there. I would. I'm out of town. I'd like to be there, Gene, but I can't make it.
Okay, we appreciate that.
If we're not there, we'll have our own award ceremony at the
Okay,
at the next meeting.
all right.
Appreciate it, Gene.
Okay, thank you.
Any other staff want to address the commission and the public?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. You're aware that I've submitted my resignation to pursue some other opportunities. And I just real quickly wanted to say thank you for the opportunities I've had here. Thank you to the commission. Thank you to city staff. Thank you to the community, and especially to the men and women of the Coffeyville Police Department. We have an outstanding department, and I'm confident they'll have continued success. Thank you.
Hold on. You've done an outstanding job, and we appreciate what you've done for our community, and wish you luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any
Mayor.
comments? Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to give you
apologize.
an update. The property we are finally closing on 806 West First, we'd approved all those documents. The closing date is set for June the 2nd. Things are looking very well for the House 1321 Hibbard, and I'm hoping to bring those documents to you at the next meeting.
Outstanding. Thank you. We're moving forward on that program. That's
Yes.
great.
Hopefully I'm last. I just wanted to give you all a quick update on economic development going on. James and myself went to Las Vegas last week for a retail conference in the hopes that we would recruit some retail. We contacted numerous companies from restaurants, service industry, hospitality, shopping, obviously. We also met with several developers, some in this region, some national developers. We also met with some actual retail consulting groups that their specialty is gathering the kind of data you need to know exactly who you're supposed to target, where your people shop, and how to go about doing that and making those connections for you. We made some excellent contacts while we were there. 2 contacts are actually planning on coming to Coffeyville in the next month just to check out some sites and talk to the city about what we want to do. We're really excited about this opportunity. They were really impressed with the presentation we did. We decided to go completely digital. So I did a presentation that kind of highlighted why someone would want to come to Coffeyville, why we see people coming to Coffeyville, and why we need retail and what our leakage is. And that went over really well. They liked the concepts of where we want to put shopping, and they all agreed that we're on the right track for how we're going about it. So that was really great feedback we got. I think we're getting on the path to going in the right direction for what we want to do.
James shared that presentation. I was really impressed.
I looked at it too.
Really nice.
It was outstanding.
He was dialed in.
It really helped us stand out, I think, compared to some other communities. I mean, James can tell you, we went around and saw communities that had booths, and they were cities like Grapevine, Texas, were enormous communities. It looked like they were just standing in a hole, and you just didn't see them. You walked by, and they spent thousands of dollars on that booth, where James and I were able to go and shake hands with numerous businesses that we never would have gotten that opportunity otherwise. So we were able to get our foot in the door a little bit easier and do the elevator speech that actually got their attention, which is, obviously critical.
Great.
In other news, I'm sure you guys saw it in the paper, RBK Manufacturing is in the process of expanding. That was one of the businesses we've been working with for quite a while. Mostly Montgomery County Action Council has been working hand in hand with them. They didn't want anyone to know they were doing it, and so USDA issued that press release before we were allowed to, but they had requested us not to share it because they're a small local company. They like to keep their business under wraps. But in case you hadn't seen the article, they're going to be creating at least 3 jobs with that zero interest loan. And if there's any other businesses in Coffeyville that are interested in expanding, that program still is around, so we can help you facilitate that in the future.
And if they had questions that in reference to that, they can contact City Hall.
Yep.
Or you can guide them in the right direction on who to get in contact with to secure that loan.
I certainly can.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other staff? Seeing none. Commissioners, you have any comments?
Just the one. What did we find out about that, I told you about the phone call I was getting about the coal.
About the what?
The coal problem. I thought that was gonna be done on the south end of town.
I need to follow up on that. I have not.
When was that? That was January?
That
February?
was, the last I talked, I know that they were in the process of moving it to Cherryville. I think they ran into a stumbling block there. I don't know exactly what it was or what it is.
So you guys know, I got a phone call from somebody on Jackson Street that says there still plenty of coal dust in the air getting into their home, on their cars. It's still pretty big deal down there.
It was my understanding that particular company were going to take their
Watco.
coal or whatever it is to another location outside the city limits.
It's another company, Jim.
Oh, no, okay.
At that point, once they moved their coal to another location, is there any other places in town where they store coal?
I don't believe so.
Would it not be in our best interest at that point? Well, I don't know how it's going to impact businesses, but to structure maybe an ordinance to where we're out of the coal storage business along public right-of-ways?
We do have an ordinance that that I won't say prohibits, but it
Evidently, it doesn't prohibit it too much.
It discourages dust.
Okay. And
That would have been the next step. We did not take them to the next step, which would have been to court.
Okay. So we do have something in.
We have a catch-all, yes.
Okay. Now, I don't want to put anybody out of business or anything, but we have to protect the health and livelihood of our citizens as well. And if you're in the coal storage business inside the city limits, there should be some type of restrictions to where you have to contain that to keep it from drifting, so to speak, the dust.
Well, we can have the city attorney to look at that specifically to address coal.
And the thing is like I said, it'd have to be structured and worded specifically so it didn't here again, it's an attorney thing. It'd have to be worded specifically.
Do we need it?
It's just something that we need to keep in the back of our minds, I think, to maybe revisit at another time.
Do we need to take any action or have the manager give them a call and see how they're doing on
I think he's
that?
gonna
I
go
can do
down.
that.
Okay.
I'll give you a report end of the week.
That'd be great.
That's all I got.
Any other comments by commissioners? I have one comment that, not really a comment, but a concern that has been brought to my attention. And like for this to be a sounding board, but we have typically every year we have a railroad crossing issue in the city, and I don't know if it's because of the winter time, the water gets into the railroad crossing and buckles them or what, but our railroad crossings in the city here are in dire need of attention, and I don't know who we need to contact as far as trying to get those addressed.
I think engineering was going to inspect those.
We do an annual
Yeah.
inspection, we just haven't got it done yet for this year, but it's time for us to do it.
Is,
And then we send that to the railroad.
The one on the one on First and these streets out here, you hit them at 30 miles per hour. And actually, the one down there is actually 30 miles an hour too. But there's about a 4.5 inch rise there, and I'm anticipating. I don't know who's responsible for that, but I'm anticipating as the issue continues to go downhill more or less, someone's gonna sustain some property damage, because that one down there is really bad.
You're talking about on
South Walnut for northbound traffic.
We contacted them, they said someone would get right on it, but nothing's been done. We'll follow up.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's all we can do. Thank you, Chuck. I don't have anything further. Anybody else? This time, we're going to take a 15-minute adjournment. Actually, let's make it a 10-minute adjournment. I didn't realize the time. 10-minute adjournment, and then we will reconvene and go into executive session at approximately 7:40. All in favor? Aye. And the executive session will be to cover non-elected personnel.
How long are you anticipating that?
30 minutes for
8,
No
10?
action afterwards.
no action anticipated afterwards.
Motion was made by Commissioner Williams. I did not hear a second.
second.
Seconded by Commissioner Martin to recess to executive session for discussion of non-elected personnel to reconvene on or before 8:10 p.m. And there will be a 10-minute
Adjournment.
break. All in favor?
Aye.